Are all of these kids with you?
These are mine.
Oh, wonderful.
No, I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher.
So brilliant. Are you all students? Or
Yeah,
you're
they are my students.
Wonderful. So here's your opportunity to learn. If you'd like to learn anything about Christianity, now's your chance to ask any
You're
questions.
Christians, aren't you? You're Christians.
Some are, some aren't. But it's also an opportunity for you to learn as well, because now you're in front.
Absolutely.
So if you've got any questions, you could be.
Not so far. I mean,
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question then. What do you think about Jesus? Who is Jesus to you?
well, I'm a Jew.
Okay,
I'm a Jew.
so it's still
Jesus was a commoner, let's say.
a commoner.
Yeah.
So Jesus was a commoner. Would you agree with me that Jesus is the most famous Jewish man that's ever lived?
Absolutely. No doubt about that.
Would it be fair to say that such a man is not a commoner?
Of course not. You're right.
Bit of a
I agree.
celebrity.
You have already convinced me about
Yeah. But let me ask you this question. You know the Torah, it teaches that in the age of the Messiah, that the Gentiles will go to Jerusalem to offer up sacrifices to the God of Israel. You're aware of that, right?
I am.
Right. Are you aware that because of Jesus Christ, Gentiles go to Jerusalem now to offer up sacrifices of praise and thanks to Yahweh, to Hashem? Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
So the messianic prophecy about Jesus has been fulfilled.
Yeah, well, you know.
Here's another one.
Yeah.
Here's another one. I'm sure you know, right? It says in...
He said you too.
He's more than welcome to join in the conversation.
My nephew.
He's more than welcome to join in the conversation.
We are arguing about who Jesus was.
Discussing, madam, discussing.
Arguing, sorry.
Discussing.
I beg your pardon.
Discussing.
Discussing. We are not arguing.
About who Jesus was, yeah.
I started saying that he was a commoner.
So I will not need to review the entire conversation.
Yeah,
We'll
sure,
just bring him in.
yeah.
So my point to you is that Jesus is the greatest Jew that ever lived. And he's also the fulfillment of the messianic prophecy. And I'll give you an example. Do you not know in your own stories that it says that in the time of the Messiah, the Gentile will grab onto your cloak and say, take us to Jerusalem with you, so that we can offer up sacrifices to the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Do you know about that? It's in your Old Testament. Do you want me?
I'll concede that I haven't read it all the way through.
Now, I can show you if you want me to, or you can take my word for it. It's entirely up to you. Right. Well, my point to you is, for 2,000 years, because of Jesus Christ, Gentiles have been going to Jerusalem to worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to offer up prayer and sacrifice.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know if does that prove that your claim is that Jesus?
On his own, no. There must be other fulfillment of other prophecy.
Anyway, I'm cool with different religious interpretations. I'm not a religious person, but I think.
Are you not a religious person?
No, but I think
Fair
the
enough.
Jewish claim is that if
Well,
the
don't
Messiah
speak.
had come,
Don't speak for a belief that you don't have. Speak for your own belief. What are your beliefs?
that I'm cool with whatever anyone wants to think, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone.
Okay, so let me challenge that idea.
Okay.
Let me challenge that idea by saying that idea is a harmful idea.
Okay.
Because
Disagree strongly there. But sure.
because the reality is, when we approach the world like that anyone can have any belief, so long as it doesn't harm anyone else. There's a lot of unpackaged stuff in that comment. Like what about if someone has a belief that isn't? What about if someone wants to support the reintroduction of slavery?
That's unarguably hurting someone.
They would argue it doesn't. They would argue it's perfectly fine.
Right. We have systems and.
Sorry, guys, we need to go to the shade. It's far too hot.
Far too hard. Do you want to go over there? Shall we go over there?
Yeah, we have a lot of kids.
Shall we? Yeah, let's go into the shade then. Let's go and talk in the shade.
The word of Muhammad.
Shall we go in here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where are my shoes?
Here we go. Is this better?
Yeah, much better.
So you guys like on a school trip?
Yeah, we are.
Where from?
From Seville, the south of Spain.
Ah, ¿puedes hablar en español? Sí, yo puedo hablar en español, pero estoy no español, español, pero...
Hablo poco español.
Vale. Anyway, your teachers seem to have disappeared. That's fine. But if you let me just tell you that as a
They are all students of English in Spain.
okay,
We have an academy and they are all students.
yeah,
So you can imagine the level.
the level of English is a bit low. So let me direct my conversation to you guys, and then they can hear real-time English. So you stated that any belief system is okay, so long as it doesn't hurt anyone. What about believing that abortion is okay?
I think there's like systems of law that determine that in different places.
But there's
Choose
a
to exist.
Yeah, it all depends on the actually on the it all depends on what happened to that woman.
but it's legally okay to abort a child. So that's hurting someone.
Well, then there's the what is someone.
Exactly, and that's my point. When you made the statement that
Yeah, you picked like I think in 99% of cases what I said is valid. You picked the one thing that's still kind of up for debate. That's fine.
what about
We'll figure it out.
euthanasia? What about euthanasia?
Give me context.
So if someone is in late stage terminal cancer
And they wish.
to end their own life
Yeah. Who is that hurting?
themselves.
That's their own choice.
So in other words, my point is,
They are deciding that they want to end their own life.
so my point is the maxim that you've given doesn't stand up. It breaks down immediately. So when we think about rules for society, when we think about values for society, we have to think about values that are more concrete than forgive me for saying this, a soundbite, a catchphrase.
Okay. And so you're proposing.
So I'm proposing, in contrast to what you said,
Okay.
the sanctity of life.
That sounds like a soundbite.
Right. So let's test the argument. The sanctity of human life says that
The question is that we should all have choices. There is no one way or the other. There should be grace.
So.
It's not
Sure.
always black or white. Is
So you're just going to have to jump in, bro. But let me just respond to this point, and then if you want to say something. So the point is that choices in and of themselves, the replication of lots of choices, individual autonomy, actually, I would argue to you, is harmful. The idea of individual autonomy is harmful. I'll give you an example. If a man says, "I identify as a woman," we've come to a conclusion in our society that because they've come to that conclusion, they should be able to walk into a woman's toilet, a woman's changing room, and get undressed in front of you,
What about right and wrong?
still having all their
What about right and wrong?
genitalia.
What about right and wrong?
Yeah, brother,
Wrong and right.
brother, that we're having this kind of conversation. So my point to you is that simply saying that people should have the right to a choice doesn't always work. Who's
with
being hurt?
certain limits, right? With certain limits.
Right, great.
Within some limits.
Great.
Not
So
everything is-
how do we decide the limits?
Yeah, and who?
And by who? Exactly. How do we decide the limits and by who? Because my point to you is that you're simply saying things like we've got laws, and saying things like, do whatever you want but don't hurt people. Make sure that people have a choice. These are nice catchphrases, but when they work out in practice, they actually don't really address the real question society faces. And so I propose to you that these questions about where the boundary lines are is a too big a question for any of us.
So you're saying.
It's above our pay grade.
Sure. So you're saying, okay, there's a set of books that have been written a while ago that kind of give us a set of rules, and we're just going to take those as right instead of thinking about it and setting limits ourselves.
You see, no, that's a characterization of Christianity.
No, of any religion.
Well, it's a characterization of all religions, but therefore it's a characterization of Christianity, because that isn't how Christianity works.
Okay.
So Christians have a set of values that we live out through virtue ethics. virtue ethics is not about creating a list of rules about what you do and what you don't do.
It's about setting boundaries.
No,
Limits.
no. Virtue ethics is about forming the right, the right habits of mind.
I don't see people as
If you create the right habits of mind, you'll make the right choices.
Sure.
And
It's
that's
a set
like
of-
Christianity.
It's a set of values.
Yes,
Of guiding principles, as is the law.
values and the virtue ethics. Right, yes.
You're claiming the law
I don't have the right to judge
in some
you. You don't have
case
the right to judge people.
puts some people, it hurts some people, it helps
There's
some
right
others.
and there's wrong.
In certain controversial
Madam,
cases.
if you don't want to talk to him, you're allowed to say you don't want to talk. Yeah, it's up to you. I'm just saying, if you don't want the conversation, you're allowed to say. So,
I'm saying any set of principles or values is going to benefit some people and hurt others, and claiming any one of them is right is
right, but if you're going to say that, are you trying to argue for moral relativism?
that seems like a question that's far more loaded than I'm ready to answer.
I'll just, I'm having a conversation with these guys, sir. Yeah, go on.
You know what you are?
I don't know the implications of saying yes to it, so I'm not going to say it.
Right. So, do you reject the idea of moral relativism?
No.
Right. So, if you're not rejecting it, are you saying that we should live by it?
Same answer as before.
What?
What?
Are you saying you don't know what to believe on this question?
No, I'm saying what is everything that moral relativism implies?
So, no, I'm asking you firstly your position. So, are you for, against, or agnostic on the question of moral relativism?
Of everyone being able to have their own morals,
Yeah, and that all morals are equally valid.
with the caveat that they should not hurt others.
Right. So you're rejecting moral relativism then because
I'm
you're
rejecting moral absolutism.
accept the absolutism that no one should be hurt.
There are grounds for doing that as well.
Yeah,
And the right
but the thing is, if no one is to be hurt, does that mean dentists shouldn't perform dentistry? Does it hurt when you go to a dentist?
Do you want to argue about long versus short-term benefit?
Exactly. But my point is, this argument that you make. ¿Tú necesitas más?
I don't know, there's like 20 students here. This is a fun debate, but
No worries. We'll talk another time.
you have a good one.
We'll talk another time. Thank you so much. God bless. Take care. Bye bye. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Any questions, guys, about the Christian faith before I go on? Right. So let me finish. Let me finish what I was trying to say earlier.